What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Aedangraef, and on this episode of Music Minute, I am going to be talking about Seat Headrest and their 13th debut album in the form of The Scholars. So, The Scholars, this is a true indie rock album, and let me tell you, this thing is dense. It is immensely long. In fact, this album packs the punch in the form of 1 hour and 10 minutes of runtime. In fact, one track on this album is probably going to be longer than this review, running at a stunning 18 minutes and 53 seconds. And it's also the best track on the album. Musically, this thing is proper with all the awesome features of indie rock that you expect to be there, whether it be the roaring electric guitar, the rampaging drums, the harmonic synth, the thrumming bass, or the zesty vocals. That's right, Will Toledo is an impressive frontman. His lyrics and his writing are cryptic and fascinating. He's got an excellent vocal range, and his voice is straight up nostalgic of some of the greats and classics in the classic rock world. Amidst all of this as well, I have to say the production of the music in this band is extremely well executed, and all of this absolutely had to be immensely on point in this record in order to make it work. And I'm pleased to report that they do pull it off pretty well. So I was first introduced to narrative music in my childhood. Specifically, this was with the Charlie Daniels Band in a very famous track. Many of you probably know it. The Devil Went Down to Georgia. And this track is a very upticking country rock ballad track that follows a cohesive narrative, a story, an epic tale of this Johnny, this awesome fiddler who takes the devil on in this rocking contest and ends up overcoming him. And it's this epic narrative tale. The reason I go into this little diatribe here is because I really kind of get called back to that with the track I want to focus on really quickly, which is Gethsemane. Gethsemane is this very intense track on this album. It's extremely long, it's 10 minutes, and it opens up with this very brooding, patient tone. All right, you've got these patient drums, simple chords on the bass and the guitar, and it all starts to slowly build out, right? And you have this narrative that's kind of in a similar aesthetic to Devil Went Down to Georgia, except this is Devil Went Down to Georgia if it all goes bad, right? And you have this narrative where the protagonist makes this deal with, well, something other. And as the track progresses, you get this evolution of the music, right? You get these rolling drums, you get this complexifying electric guitar progression, you get crashing cymbals, and you get lyricism that darkens as there is this like growing defiance, apathy, and discord between the protagonist and this entity that inhabits them as the track continues. And then you add synth all of a sudden and dial back some of the noise for a moment, all right? And this is about like a little past the midway point, and the lyrics of disillusionment and the sense of being overwhelmed hits, all right? And then we get this line, and this line becomes pivotal in the last, like, I would say the last quarter of this album, okay? You can love again if you try again. And everything, all the noise, like, washes back in as the protagonist spiritually kind of gives up and gives in to this entity, right? And it's just this, like, it's very powerful. It's just this taunt that just rolls at the end of the track, and it's very like rock opera, but like it's more like classic rock opera, if that makes sense. And it's just rolling. You can love again if you try again. But it's like it's just this, like, the entity is just like taunting them at this point, is it's so clear that they've like given in and given up, and it's this allegory for the modern relationship that we all kind of like deal with, and it's doomed to fail. But isn't it so funny how in like modern society everybody's so quick to say these kinds of things, right? We're all quick to say like it gets better. Not every relationship will go like this. You know, there's always a silver lining. You can love again if you try again. And trapped in this cycle, our protagonist loses themselves to the darkness. You can love again if you try again. And the noise just swallows them. It's an awesome track. So cool. 2 tracks later, the middle track is also significant. 2 tracks later, you get Planet Desperation. Okay, this thing has this awesome tempo and sonic switch up with electric guitars and smashing drums, and then suddenly you're burst into space in this thing with these peaceful vocals. Right, you're following this guy, and there's like this riot going on, and then it's like death happens, and then you're like in space. And you get like tribal, like shaman vibes and this like trance like journey, and it's a transition. And then you get on the vocals, you get like this deep filter, and then this almost like metal electric guitar riff hits you, and then you're back with like tempo drums and chanting fills the air, and it's so spiritual. And the vocals are filled with reverb, and it just comes across ascended, right? And then you're pulled back to Gethsemane. You can love again if you try again. But it's different this time. The pace is less chaotic. The words are sung in full accompaniment of the instrumentals. It's full. And it's a message of hope, of support, of redemption. And you can hear it in the reverb. And you can hear it in the filled out chord progressions. And the same words that are a taunt 2 songs before, like 20 minutes of track time before, are completely recontextualized. And it's this awesome moment near the end of the album. Such a cool transition. You can love again if you try again. I do have criticism here. True False Lover. So this track, there's some context. This album is organized in the manner of being like a play, which you would have no idea of if you weren't looking at the lyrics proper. And what I mean by that is if you weren't looking at an actual lyrical breakdown officially provided by the band, where it's written like a play script with actual characters that are cohesive and carried throughout the story and scenes and stuff. This song is the bow at the end of the play where they all come on stage and do their bow out and there are characters talking. Nowhere in this actual vocalization or the instrumentation or any of the musicality of this album is this alluded to. It is only in the context of the lyrics that you're given a glimpse into this. And in one line where they drop a name of one of the characters. Not helpful. So the final song, True False Lover, is the curtain call of the play. It's a wrap up of that narrative, and that's the reason it's the final song. From that perspective, sure, it's a great closer. But from the sonical, thematic, everything else perspective of the album, I don't think it's the proper wrap up. I feel like I have this gripe so many times on these albums. The real closer is Planet Desperation. It's clear as day. That album is literally about death, the afterlife, and the rebirth of hope. Come on, guys. If you're going to make it about the play, put it in a manner that's more accessible to your listener, or cut that out. Because how much better is it when you close on something that's tonally cohesive with the rest of your piece? You spend these 3 tracks building up this epic conclusion to your album. let it be. My other piece of criticism, this album is exhausting, and because some of the tracks are so long, it feels like it's really hard to think about carving out moments to re-listen. I absolutely love Gethsemane, and I absolutely love Planet Desperation. I would love nothing more than to listen to these tracks over and over again. But I can't think of many moments in my life that I can carve out to just like have 18 minutes and 53 seconds to just go for it. There are times, but that takes like some intention. Maybe I'm like being overly critical, but I don't know. It's not super replayable because of that. So, when I think about how I would rate the Scholars, I would have to say I would give it an ecstatic 8.